What's up, everybody? Welcome to the High Level Husband Podcast. I'm Tommy McAllister, coming in here real quick today with a quick and powerful one. This one is on where husbands drop the ball. Now, this topic is sometimes gets a lot of pushback from men, and it's on where men will not have the tough conversations, and they say, "Well, we don't have these tough conversations because it gets used against us." That may be the truth now, and I'm going to give you reasons why that's happening, the impact of what's happening with that, and then some tips on how to build that back so you can have tough conversations and actually take ground together as a couple and bond closer together. And so oftentimes it starts from the beginning where you just start avoiding tough conversations because it's kind of hard to say things. And that might not even be your fault in the marriage. It might have been the way you were raised by your dad, or you weren't shown that in your household by your parents communicating that way. And then you've never had it in any other relationship. So you just have never seen it. And the culture that we live in says, suck it up and deal with it. But the person who says suck it up and deal with it is actually the weakest person in the room, and probably the weakest person that I know is guys who say that. I don't care if they have big muscles and big things like that. The most strongest person in the room is the person who has nothing to hide. And that's the person who's the most vulnerable. And so that is why it's so important as men, as leaders of our house, as parents, as couples, as marriages, to do the hard things, because what is caught is taught. And then our kids get to see what a great marriage looks like. And that's not doing easy things. Jesus says, to be my follower, you must pick up your cross and follow me. He doesn't say pick up your ice cream bowl and sit on the couch and suck back and just, eat cake. No, it says pick up your cross. And that's not easy. I get it. Tough conversations is not easy. Being obese and becoming fit is not easy. Being broke and becoming wealthy is not easy. Having a crappy marriage and having a great one is not easy. No matter what it is, it's not easy, but that's why it feels good when you earn it. Is you earn it. That's what drives so many people in life. And it's fun when you start doing it, but you have to start the momentum. And so this is on you. This is on you in your marriage to be able to make this happen. And it may suck for a little while because the standard hasn't been set probably. And because of that, you guys have caused the distance. And so it's hard. So it's going to be terrible at first. The cart's before the horse. You guys are going to be at each other's throats. But this is where, as the men, we do not react. We respond correctly. And we do not cause a fight or get defensive, even if they are. Whatever our wife is doing, even if they're acting poorly, does not give you permission to act poorly. That's where a lot of guys get it wrong. Well, she said this, I said this. She did that, I'll do this. No. A leader doesn't follow. A leader leads. So if you are following your wife's negative behavior, guess what you are? You're not a leader. You're a follower. And that's hard to hear. And that's honestly most men. And so I want to encourage you that can change in multiple different ways. And so let's get into it. Let's just jump in from the top. When you avoid it, it doesn't stop the conflict. It just gives her silence to fill with assumptions. So if you avoid tough conversations, your wife's going to jump to assumptions. What's he hiding? Is he lying? He's up to something. He's weak. All these different things. As you know, what thoughts do to you about your wife or anything else in this world, they go in your head and they start going down crazy rabbit holes. So your wife has that happening with her. So she'll jump to assumptions when you do not share. So then assumptions can be super far off from the actual truth, but because it is truth in their head, they'll start treating you like those are the truth, even though there might not. Well, how do you kill those assumptions and actually tell her the truth? By actually sharing and having tough conversations, so then they actually know. Well, if it gets used against you, so what? Who cares? At least after time, if you're responding right, guess what? They will understand and see the truth. But if not, they'll have assumptions and they'll base their truth off assumptions, which are most likely lies and false, and then they'll treat you that way. When you do that, when you avoid tough conversations, you just create distance. And when there's distance, there's no connection. And when there's no connection, there's no intimacy. And that's what so many men, it's like, I do so many reels on primarily Instagram and those types of platforms about, men primarily want to make love to feel loved. And That's a huge part for a lot of men. Totally understand it, totally get it. But you'll never be able to get that without the tough conversations, without the emotional intimacy. Yes, you can get it now. We've done podcasts on it. Well, you might actually get it now, but for the long term, you won't. So in the meantime, how do you keep that going forever? You stop from having distance between you and your wife. Just you guys going to baseball games together with your kids, or going out to dinner with other friends, or you guys watching TV together, or playing on your phones next to each other. That's not time together. That's better than nothing. But the real time is quality time, actually having deep, tough conversations. And it doesn't always have to be tough conversations, but just conversations on that. The next part is what happens is she'll lose respect. Women want strong, confident men. That's just 100% the truth. Their actions might not want that. They may try to dominate. They may try to be the leader. That's because there's somebody trying to be on the watchtower. And for whatever reason, that wasn't us, because they don't know your plans. Without you having tough conversations and sharing what's going on, the assumptions are going to think that you don't have a plan or a vision. So then they'll get on the tower. They don't know very well that you got this under control. Here's the vision. Here's how you're going to do it. But their assumptions are going to get them scared. And women want security. So then they're going to jump on the watchtower, and they're not going to want to give up their that security easily. So that comes to you when we create distance on that. But they also, where they want respect, they want to be able to be submissive to a husband, but it comes with respect. And that doesn't come by you just making money. It comes by you speaking, sharing, telling the vision, and then them seeing it. They have to have all the pieces: seeing, hearing, and feeling. They have to have all of that. The small problems become big problems. This is obvious. If you don't deal with them now, they will fester and become bigger ones, as I already touched on about assumptions, but they really will become bigger problems, because it's like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I'll swipe it under the rug, right? I'll sweep it under the rug. It's just like in health. I've gained 3 pounds. It's not the end of the world. I'm really got a really crazy season at work right now. I just don't have time to focus on my diet and my health. Well, then that becomes 13 pounds. And you're like, okay, I'm starting to really notice it, but it's like, I'll get on it. It's no big deal. I've never been 13 pounds overweight in my life. I'll jump on it. Next thing you know, it's 33 pounds. And now you're like starting to try, but then it's such a process that you stop. And the next thing you know, you're 100 pounds overweight. People who are 350 pounds just didn't get there overnight, right? It started them being at a good shape at one point in time to them being that way, right? And so it's the same thing in marriage. If you keep avoiding these things, they will eventually become an obese problem in your marriage, because you're avoiding them. Busyness kills so many marriages because you can't actually spend time around each other. I've spoken this many of times. There's no way that God did not give you enough time in your day to be able to accomplish all that he wants you to accomplish. That's serving in him and other people, doing the mission that he created you for. That's you being physically fit. That's you spending time with him. That's you being in the word. That's you spending time with your wife and having solitude with her. And that's you having time for your kids. He gave you enough time to do all of that. We as a society has said more, been programmed by the government. All these are the things. And because of that, we have no time. But when you have time to spend with God, you get insane amount of breakthrough and peace. If you have enough time for your wife, you have insane amount of breakthrough and peace in your marriage. Where your time goes, good things happen. But that's not, as I said, sitting on your phone and avoiding each other. No, that's conversations. So big problems will arise. But as I've already touched on, the intimacy will die off. And I know as guys, that's what most guys want. But I'll be real with you, it's what a lot of wives want as well. I know plenty of wives, since we've done this for so long, that are like, my husband's the one who doesn't initiate sex. My husband is the one who doesn't give me sex. They want that as well. And intimacy comes in multiple different forms. It's not always just through sex. It's through emotional intimacy. It's through spiritual intimacy. It's through all the different types that there actually are. But if you don't have the conversations, there's no intimacy, right? Like there's intimacy with the Father if you're solitude, like a God, Jesus, right? Like when you're spending time with him, you start developing intimacy, you start feeling this love, you start understanding his voice, and you really start feeling like his son. But if you don't spend any time with him, you will not feel like his son. You won't. That's just the truth. You won't feel that intimacy and that love. It's the same thing with our spouse. If we're not spending time with them, that intimacy goes away. You start getting to the roommate phase. And the roommate phase just doesn't go away if she just has sex with you every day. It doesn't. Now you're just having sex with your roommate. Real intimacy starts with real conversations. Remember that. Real intimacy starts with real conversations. I got to write that down. Because I just came on the spot. And that's what I love about speaking and podcasting and things like this. I can't tell you how many crazy things that God's just laid on me in those moments. And that'd be one of them right there. Real intimacy comes from real conversations, but it's just the truth, right? And so there's so many of those things that happen when you avoid these things. Are they easy to do? No. John Maxwell, this is a line from him. Great leaders have tough conversations. That's in your business. Sometimes bosses don't want to have tough conversations with their employees, but that's how you have to do. Great leaders in friendships, you have to have tough conversations with your friends. Great leaders have to have tough conversations with their wife and their kids, and it's not always easy. But I've watched my family's growth, my growth, and growth in so many other areas of my life, in all areas, literally from my kids to my wife, to my finances, to my faith, to my friendships, my community, everything from what? Tough conversations, from real conversations. That's what it all started with. But where did it all, I guess the real started with was real conversations with God. The more time I spent with God, the more those ones grew, but I had to go and do it. This is where I'm going to challenge you guys. I don't care if you can sit in an ice bath or even climb Mount Everest or run now it's like an ultra marathon. Cool, you can run an ultra marathon. Like, kudos, I give you props in a certain area. But if you can't have a tough conversation, I don't look at you as like any more manly because you can sit in an ice bath. My wife did 40 days of ice bath straight. Like, kudos to her. But you know where her real strength comes? Because she can have tough conversations. I've told this story before. I'm going to tell it again in case you haven't heard it. About 4 years ago-ish, I went to a weekend, a men's retreat weekend, and there was like 20-ish guys there. Most of us didn't know each other. And it was a faith-filled personal development, also some physical challenging aspects of it as well. But it was just like, man, we all got vulnerable throughout the weekend. And by the end of the weekend, there was a Navy SEAL. This guy's a well-known author, Navy SEAL. Has trained some of the most elite Navy SEALs. I don't know about you, I love Navy SEALs. And at the end, he said, this is the most elite group of men I've ever done life with. And we looked at each other like, bro, like, you're a Navy SEAL. We're entrepreneurs, we're this, and this, but we're not Navy SEALs. And he says, it's not because you guys can kill people, it's because you can get vulnerable. So vulnerability is having tough conversations. Vulnerability is doing those things that we don't want to do, right? Tough conversations is doing those things we don't want to do, right? Like sometimes, right? Same thing with vulnerability. But you do these things because it's going to get the fruit, right? You sit in an ice bath just not to like prove your neighbor that you're cool. You do it because you want the fruit from it. You go to the gym. I do enjoy the gym, but there's certain aspects like when you're got a lot of weight on your back and you're squatting and you're just like, oh, you're barely going down that last rep or two. It's not fun. I would way rather sit on a beach than do that. But I do it because of the fruit that comes with it. If you want fruit in your marriage, you have to have tough conversations. And that's not just once or twice. You can't sit in an ice bath once or twice a year and expect to have fruit. You can't squat once or twice a year and expect to have fruit. You can't eat a salad, healthy. I don't necessarily say a salad is not necessarily that healthy anyways. Eat healthy once or twice a year and expect to get fruit. You can't do it once or twice a month and expect to get healthy, right? Like, and so same thing with this. This is day in and day out. Day in and day out. That's where I see so many people who are faith-filled who go to church on Sunday, but then the rest of the week don't give any time to God, and they do that then. That's all they do. Well, their faith life is very lukewarm. It's all. And that's not, God has to be all your thing, all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. That's not a suggestion. It's a command. It's a command. Says you have to do this. He wants your heart. He wants you to get vulnerable and have tough conversations with him. But he wants, what's cool about God and marriage, it's the same things apply. Solitude with God, solitude with your wife. Tough conversations with God, tough conversations with your wife. All of that, the same things. So, guys, it's not easy, but it's worth it. Anything that you want in life comes from on the other side of pain. Anything you want in life comes from doing hard things. But I promise you, because it's hard, it's worth it. If everything just landed in your lap, it wouldn't be worth it. Like if I told you right now, I could give you $10 million today, or in 1 year from now, I could give you $10 million, or you'll have $10 million, but you will have earned every bit of that. You would want it from earning it. You'd be so proud of yourself that that money would mean so much more to you. But if it's just like this way, when you win the lottery, it's like, like it's cool that you all of a sudden have money, but it's like, it's not going to change it. But when you earn it, it feels good. Everything you earn feels good. Great marriages are earned by doing the tough things that you don't want to do. But I promise you, you do that tough things, it becomes easy. Going to the gym once you've done it for years straight becomes super easy. Eating healthy every day becomes easy. No matter what you do, when you build these habits, become easy. That's why marriage as you go on should be easier, because you've done tough conversations from day one. But even if you haven't done it from day one, it will take time to start getting them to where they're at. But once you do it, it will become easy. It was so hard for me and Diane in the beginning of our transformation to have these conversations. Now it's so easy. It's so easy. Everything we do in marriage is beyond easy. Like it's crazy. I don't want to get too deep into this rabbit hole, so I'm going to save it. But it's what I'm telling you. You just do it long enough, it becomes easy. That's why I don't care. Somebody who Elon Musk, Grant Cardone, name anybody who has the skill sets to grow businesses. You could literally take away all their money right now and just say, hey, create another business, and it can't be in the industry you're in, and they'll create $1 million business within probably 6 months. Because they have the skills and the habits to do those things. It's the same thing in marriage. You just got to do them. You got to do them. That's why the order in life matters so much. People got the order wrong. Business first, kids first, all that other stuff. It's not what it's supposed to be. So, guys, those are the things that will happen. How do you undo this? Chances are, if you're at this spot and you're listening to it, chances are you're down the road and it's not day one and this has already been happening, that you're in a struggling spot. It's going to take time to unwind it. It's not going to happen overnight. You have to just keep doing it. Just like if you're obese, it's going to take time for you to lose 150 pounds. Just stick with it, and you will. And you 100% will. It's not, when you lose 150 pounds, it's not like you lose 3 pounds every single week perfectly every single week. No, there's going to be weeks where maybe you gain a pound, even though you're still doing those same things. There's going to be weeks where you lose 5 pounds. It's the same thing in conversations. Not everyone's going to be the most mind-blowing conversation, but you're going to have more mind-blowing ones than not. You're going to have some mediocre ones. You're going to have some bad ones. Maybe they didn't go too well, because we all have our human emotions and feelings, but you will start mastering those. So daily, 20 minutes, quality time every single day with your spouse, no matter what. If they use them against you, too bad. You be the statue, the lighthouse, and no matter what, you don't respond. They're not leading you, you lead them. Number 2, set boundaries for how you communicate. If they start using them after a little bit, you have to say, babe, I love you. I'm going to stick in this right here, and we're going to make this marriage amazing. I promise you that. We're going to get there, and we're going to do that because of our quality time. I will do my part, and I'm not going to say things bad about you or use anything against you. That's on me. If I do, please let me know, and I need you to do the same thing. Can we agree this? Now, don't wait for her to start doing that. You have to do that in the good times. I always tell people, don't wait for the bad moment for them to start doing it, because they're probably not going to be receptive. You can talk about it in that moment, but do it in the good times. Babe, I got to mention something, even though when you're laughing and joking, when we have our quality time, could you please just not like maybe throw some things back at me? And I'll promise you I won't do it either. And she's like, okay, you're probably right. You're probably right. But if we wait until it's like DEFCON 4 and she's hammering you, and then you say, babe, you can't do that, she don't want to hear it. So you have to do it in the good as well. Set the boundaries. And the last one is end with action. So whatever you're talking about, don't let it go in one ear and out the other. Put action with it. They have to see you doing it. They have to hear you speaking it for them to feel it. See, hear, feel. But when you're in these quality time and you say you're going to do this every day, they have to see you initiate it. Even if they're like, I'm not doing it, you have to still initiate it and do it. Then what you're talking about, if they're telling you things that they need or desire, whatever that may be, do them. If you're saying some things that you're going to do it. And because of that, they'll feel it. But it's going to take time. This isn't 3 weeks. This isn't 6 weeks. It can't happen that fast. Give yourself 3 to 6 months. But even after that, if you're still going, I promise you're going to have a lot of growth. It may not be where you want it to be. Then give yourself another 6 months and then another 6 months. But just keep going and it will be where you're at. Time flies. You all know as you're getting older, time's going very, very fast. It's worth it. Because if you don't fix your problems in this marriage, you'll have to fix them in the next. That's just the truth. It's 100% the truth. That's why the second and third marriages fail, because it's not the marriage that sucks, it's the person that sucks, and their same habits will get brought to the next. If you can't have tough conversations in this, you won't in the next. Promise you that. And you're probably dealing with another broker person who didn't do that, because if they're on the market, they didn't do those things either. So your chances are way less. So appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I could just ask for one thing. If you guys could rate this 5 stars, that'd be amazing. If you are on YouTube, give us a subscribe and a thumbs up. And if you're interested in coaching, click the link below. If you're not, keep listening to these and keep sharing it. Love y'all. God bless you. God has so much for your life. I promise you that.